Sapakaya Dharmaki Sarvadharma Swarupine Sapakaya Dharmaki Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishna Math Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya pratyomamritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate, who came to establish universal religion, the embodiment of love and compassion, who exemplified spiritual life. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. Today's topic, Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master. There is a special message given by Sri Ramakrishna, and he said all our focus in life should be to realize the divine. The second important point Sri Ramakrishna said was that we should practice spirituality in all earnestness, with great devotion and sincerity. This life is most precious. We must not lose this precious life given to us by the divine. In fact, human life is provided not to indulge in useless things, but to use the life in a spiritual way to realize the divine. It's only through human life a person would be able to understand and realize his own true nature. In no other regions, for example in heaven, etc., one will not be able to really realize the divine. So everyone will have to come on this earth planet to practice, to get liberation from bondage. Until we struggle, we cannot escape from never-ending miseries and sufferings in life. The cycle of birth and death continues ad infinitum. It's only when you take to spiritual life and realize the divine, we can stop this coming back and forth. And this cycle of birth and death occurs because we are pulled by our never-ending, never-satisfying desires. So in a way, desires are the root cause for all our sufferings. in the life. So we must be analytical, have proper approach and practice. That's all it means. So Sri Ramakrishna underwent tremendous spiritual practices in order to show to the mankind that spiritual practice is very essential. And then he authenticated all the religious paths as true. Every religion leads to the divine. So why should there be any conflict at all? Further, Sri Ramakrishna tells, choose any path you want. Any path. Paths are infinite. Goal is same. Once you have chosen the path, thenceforward do not deviate your attention or distract yourself to any other thing. Then only you will succeed. Otherwise, it is too difficult. Some people have got some fancy to practice a particular faith for a short time, then shift their mind to some other faith. Again shift. Keep on changing the gurus, changing the mode of practice. Ultimately, they will be landing in confusion. So that is not the way. So Sri Ramakrishna leads us from the beginning how we should meticulously follow everything with a tremendous attention. At the outset, Sri Ramakrishna tells that we should become really aware of our goal in human life, that is to realize the divine. That only will give us supreme fulfillment and also everlasting peace and bliss. That's a state of, that experience is a state of eternal happiness and peace. That's why those who went to that state totally get absorbed and get into samadhi. That means they never ever will to come back again on this plane of consciousness. They are uplifted completely and fully satisfied. No more desires cropping up. So, that's the way that we should step in, fixing the goal and trying to practice. The aim of spiritual life, discipline, chanting God's name and His glories, is to realize the divinity. A person attains everything when he discovers his true self in himself. That's why God has assured in the Bhagavad Gita and also in the Upanishads, God dwells in our own heart. Heart is in our own temple. Our body is a temple. Heart is a sanctum sanctorum, where the divine dwells. Only we are not aware of it on account of ignorance. So all this suffering we are undergoing. So lamp of knowledge should be awakened. Then the darkness of ignorance instantly vanishes. So, this is also the purpose of assuming a human body. One needs the clay mold as long as the gold image has not been cast. But once when the image is made, the mold is thrown away. So, the body is compared to the mold. It may be given up after the realization of God. God is truth. He is not only inside us, He is both inside and outside. Sri Ramakrishna says, the Divine Mother of the creation showed me in the Kali temple that everything is Chinmaya, the embodiment of spirit. That is she who has become all this, the image, myself, utensils of worship, the doorsill, the marble floor, everything is indeed Chinmaya. The aim of prayer, of spiritual discipline, of chanting the name and glories of God is just to experience this. For that alone a devotee loves God. So, Sri Ramakrishna assures a person will certainly succeed if he will take care, the plunge. If you take the plunge, success is sure for such a person. Well, somebody asked, what do you think of the worship conducted by Keshava Chandra Sen, Shivanath and other Brahma leaders? Master Maharshi said, they are satisfied, as you say, referring to Sri Ramakrishna, he is talking. They are satisfied with describing the garden, but they seldom speak of seeing the master of the garden. They are just enamored of the garden. Describing the garden is the beginning and end of their worship. Sri Ramakrishna says, well, our only duty is to seek the master of the garden and speak to him. The only purpose of life is to realize the divine. We can talk to him, we can speak to him. We can feel and experience the infinite joy we get by the supreme vision. Lord Krishna has emphasized in the Bhagavad Gita, while it is due to great merit that human birth occurs, still more rare is it for an individual to develop devotion to God and strive steadfastly for spiritual progress. For those who are serious about pursuing the spiritual goal, the impermanent nature of the human faculties, body, mind and intellect, must be a reason to utilize them for the purpose they are intended without frittering the precious opportunity away in worldly pursuits. A legitimate doubt may arise that the body, mind, intellect, personality is meant for worldly pursuits also. But one should remember that engagement in the world gives rise to more karma, and this in turn leads to rebirths. Even the obligatory duties, if performed with attachment to the result, give rise to fresh karma. What's the way out then? By the force of karma that has brought about this birth, a person will enjoy whatever he has to without effort on his part. Hence, There is no need to waste all the energy and time at one's disposal in merely accumulating wealth and achieving materialistic goals. Person comes alone onto this planet, and when the time comes he lives alone, giving up everything, whatever he has accumulated, acquired, achieved, everything he has to give up here. A spiritual seeker, by surrendering the result of his actions to God, would not incur karma. Further, his mind will be rid of its latent impurities, thus enabling him to envision God. The Uddhava Gita outlines how a devotee can gain spiritual insights from day-to-day experiences. The importance of the Guru for gaining spiritual knowledge has to be kept in mind, as the Atman cannot be known from the self-study of the scriptures. Nayam Atma pravachanena labhyaha. Just as sparks of the fire can be produced by friction of firewood, so also the initiation given by the Guru can result in the disciple intuiting the subtle knowledge of the Atman. So, spiritual knowledge, which Lord Krishna says, Adhyatmika Vidya, it puts an end to this never-ending cycle of births and deaths. And the karma that has brought about this birth will come to an end on its own momentum, like a ravaging forest fire subsiding naturally when there is nothing left to burn. Knowledge enables the aspirant to understand that the absolute reality is one and appears as diverse selves, like the sun which reflected in different water bodies appear as many. The analogy of the spider weaving a web and retracting it can be applied to understand how the process of creation, sustenance and dissolution happens. The ultimate reality is one, but it is personal as well as impersonal, and is indicated by different names as God, Ishwar, etc. is called by different names in different religions. Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel, God's play on earth as an incarnation is a manifestation of the glory of the Chit Shakti, the divine power. That which is Brahman is also Rama, Krishna, Shiva, Jesus, Buddha, and all great incarnations. Sri Ramakrishna, just before his passing away, found that Swami Vivekananda was thinking about who Sri Ramakrishna really was. Sri Ramakrishna was suffering from cancer, whose body had become tremendously weak, who could not even get up, who could not even speak, even whisper. And Sri Ramakrishna found this thought coming in the mind of Vivekananda, who was just at the bedside of Sri Ramakrishna. Immediately Sri Ramakrishna woke up, he got up from the bed and told him very vehemently, look, still you are having doubt? One who was Sri Ram in Treta Yuga, Sri Krishna in Dwapar Yuga, now Sri Ramakrishna. That made very clear to Swami Vivekananda the absolute reality descending on this earth as Sri Ramakrishna. What for? Just to help humanity. To help all the people who are struggling in spiritual life. To practice them properly and reach the goal. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna would be looked upon as Krishna by the devotees of Krishna. Would be looked upon as Ram by the devotees of Ramachandra. And is looked upon as Jesus Christ by the followers of Lord Christ. Thereby Sri Ramakrishna revealing that all the forms of gods and goddesses are his own. He is referring to himself as Brahman, and all the manifestations are the manifestations projecting from Brahman. But as Sri Ramakrishna has said, there are so many paths to the realization of the divine, and the way we approach, the approach of jnani, the approach of devotee, the approach of a person engaged in karma, there are distinct approaches, but all really are reaching the same goal. The jnani says, he reasons about the world through the process of neti, not this, not this. Because the world is continuously changing. How can one ever expect this world to be really real, which is constantly undergoing change? So by negating, not this, not this, at last reaches the eternal and indivisible Satchidananda. He reasons, then Brahman is not the living beings, it is neither the universe nor the 24 cosmic principles. As a result of such reasoning, he attains the absolute. Then he realizes that it is the absolute that has become all this, the universe, its living beings, and the 24 cosmic principles. As Swami Vivekananda used to say in one of his discourses, evolution, involution. What is evolved is involved, and what is involved is evolved. So this process continues. Brahman projects as universe and all living beings, and again he withdraws them. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example. Milk sets into curd, and the curd is churned into butter. After extracting the butter, one realizes that butter is not essentially different from buttermilk, and buttermilk is not essentially different from butter. The bark of tree goes with the pith, and the pith goes with the bark. Then Sri Ramakrishna continues, if there is butter, there must be buttermilk also. If you think of butter, you must also think of buttermilk along with it. For there cannot be any butter without buttermilk. Just so, if you accept the Nitya, you must also accept the Leela. It is a process of negation and affirmation. You realize the Nitya by negating the Leela. Then you affirm the Leela, seeing in it a manifestation of the Nitya. One attains this state after realizing reality in both aspects, personal and impersonal. The personal is the embodiment of Chit, consciousness, and the impersonal is the indivisible Satchidananda. Brahman alone has become everything. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, Upanishad says, the whole thing is indeed Brahman only. Therefore, to the Vijnani, a person of super intellect, this world is a mansion of mirth. But to the Jnani, it is a framework of illusion. So, Sri Ramakrishna's famous teachings, different paths leading to the God. Sri Ramakrishna says, you see how many opinions there are about God. Each opinion is a path. There are innumerable opinions and innumerable paths leading to God. Then one devotee asks, then sir, what should we do? And Sri Ramakrishna says, devotion to one's own path and respect for others. Don't waste your time poking yourself into other forms of religion and get confused. You follow what you should do. There the matter ends. You do what you should do. You must stick to one path with all your strength. A person can reach the roof of a house by stone stairs or a ladder or a rope ladder or a rope or even by a bamboo pole. But he can't reach the roof if he sets foot now on one and now on another. He should firmly follow one path. Likewise, in order to realize God, a man must follow one path with all his strength. But he must regard other views as so many paths leading to God. You should never feel that your path alone is the only right path and that all other paths are wrong. You must not bear malice towards others. Sri Ramakrishna emphatically said this because he underwent spiritual sadhanas through various religions, and so his statements are coming from his own direct experience of the divine. With reference to Sri Ramakrishna, well, to what path do I belong? Sri Ramakrishna asked the question. Keshav Chandra Sen, who was a Brahmo Samaj leader, he used to say to Sri Ramakrishna, "Oh Sri Ramakrishna, you belong to our path. You are gradually accepting the ideal of the formless God." Then there was a great Pandit, Shashidhar Pandit. He said that I belong to his path. Vijay Goswami, he too says that I belong to his, Vijaya's path. So everyone is thinking about Sri Ramakrishna that he is following his own path. That way. So Sri Ramakrishna is for all. Just like ocean, all the rivers merged in the ocean, all the different religions, they are all included in Sri Ramakrishna's experience. What is very important, Sri Ramakrishna says, purity of mind. Don't keep rubbing the mind, don't tarnish the mind, don't make the mind committing all sorts of impurities. Pay attention on maintaining the purity level It is essential condition for the attainment of the ultimate reality. Real purity is freedom from lust and greed. External observances are only of secondary importance. God cannot be realized without purity of heart. One receives the grace of God by subduing the passions, lust, anger and greed. Then one sees God. Through spiritual practices, one can definitely overcome his evil tendencies, and divine grace can redeem him, even the worst sinner. Therefore, one should not brood over the past mistakes, but should develop a positive outlook on life by depending on the divine. Sri Ramakrishna said, all worship and spiritual disciplines are directed to one end alone, namely, to get rid of worldly attachment. The more you meditate on God, the less you will be attached to the trifling things of the world. The more you love the lotus feet of God, the less you will crave the things of the world or pay heed to creature comforts. You will look on another man's wife as your mother and regard your own wife as your companion in spiritual life. You will get rid of all dirty desires and acquire godly qualities. You will be totally unattached to the world. Though you may still have to live in the world, you will live as a Jivan Mukta, liberated while living. Then Sri Ramakrishna shows God realization is possible for all. The family people need not renounce the world, but they should pray sincerely, practice discrimination between the eternal and the temporal, and remain unattached. What Bhagavad Gita tells very often in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, maintaining equanimity. And Sri Ramakrishna tells, God listens to sincere prayer. Intense longing is the secret of success in spiritual life. One feels restless for God when one's soul longs for His vision. The Guru said to the disciple, come with me, I shall show you what kind of longing will enable you to see God. Saying this, the Guru took the disciple to a pond and pressed his head under the water. After a few moments, he released the disciple and asked, how did you feel? The disciple answered, oh sir, I felt as if I were dying. I was longing for a breath of air. To love God is the essence of the whole thing. Bhakti alone is the essence. Narad said to Ram, may I always have pure love for your lotus feet, and may I not be deluded by your world bewitching Maya. Rama said to him, ask for some other boon. No, said Rama, I don't want anything else. May I have love for your lotus feet. This is my only prayer. So, the real test of our love towards God is we desire nothing. So we rise up to the state of desirelessness when we cherish love, sincere love towards God. God dwells in all people, but the manifestation of this inner divinity varies from person to person. In saintly people there is greater manifestation of God. Women are special manifestations of Divine Mother of the Universe and so are to be treated with respect. Since God dwells in all people, helping the needy should be done not out of compassion but as humble service to God. Egoism caused by ignorance is the root cause of all suffering. Life is an expression of the spontaneous creativity of God. Pleasure and pain, success and failure, etc. are to be borne with patience. Sufferings come to burn our impurities. Every suffering comes to teach us a lesson. And one should resign oneself to God's will under all circumstances. And also, sufferings, they come to test our devotion to God. One of the important contributions of Sri Ramakrishna is the re-establishment of the ideal of God realization in the modern world. In a world in which people's faith in traditional religions has been considerably reduced by the relentless attack of the forces of atheism, materialism, and scientific thinking, Sri Ramakrishna established the possibility of having direct experience of transcendent reality. His life has enabled thousands of people to gain or regain faith in God and in the eternal verities of religion. As Mahatma Gandhiji has stated, Ramakrishna's life enables us to see God face to face. No one can read the story of his life without being convinced that God alone is real and that all else is an illusion. The second most important contribution which Sri Ramakrishna has done, harmony of religions. People are quarreling in the name of religions, creating hatred between one another. So, Sri Ramakrishna is well known all over the world as a prophet of harmony of religions. He did not say that all the religions are the same. He recognized differences among religions, but showed that in spite of these differences, all religions lead to the same ultimate goal, and hence they are all valid and true. This view is nowadays known as pluralism. Sri Ramakrishna is its primary originator. Pluralism. The uniqueness of Sri Ramakrishna's view is that it was based not on speculation, but on direct experience gained through actual practice. Since conflicts among religions and the rise of religious fundamentalism are a major threat to the peace, prosperity and progress of humanity, Sri Ramakrishna's doctrine of harmony of religions has immense importance in the modern world. Regarding this, the distinguished British historian Arnold Toynbee has written, Mahatma Gandhi's principle of non-violence and Sri Ramakrishna's testimony to the harmony of religions, here we have the attitude and the spirit that can make it possible for the human race to grow together into a single family and in the atomic age. This is the only alternative to destroying ourselves. Next, Sri Ramakrishna is a bridge between the ancient and the modern. The link between the ancient and the modern. He showed how the ancient ideals and experiences could be realized even while following the normal modern way of life. Sri Ramakrishna's emphasis on truthfulness and renunciation of lust and greed has given a great boost to moral life in modern times. He also cleansed religious life of immoral practices, external pomp, miracle mongering, etc. Sri Ramakrishna elevated love from the level of emotions to the level of the unity of all selves in God. Although the principle of oneness of this Supreme Self and its immanence in all beings is a central point in the Upanishads, it was seldom applied to practical life. Sri Ramakrishna saw the divine in his wife, in his disciples, in others, even in fallen women, and treated them all with respect. The famous dictum of the New Testament, God is love, found its verification in Sri Ramakrishna. Divinization of love and human relationships is another contribution of Sri Ramakrishna, which has immense significance for the welfare of humanity. Sri Ramakrishna's teachings are well spread in the Gospel. We should really read every day some portion of the Gospel to keep awake our spiritual fervor. He has given a lot of spiritual instructions, and people of different temperaments, they may choose whatever they want according to their needs and practice them. What Sri Ramakrishna would emphasize, practice, practice, practice. You have to practice it. So, Sri Ramakrishna very clearly said, he is born in vain who, having attained the human birth, so difficult to get, does not attempt to realize the divine in this very life. You may see many stars in the sky at night, but not when the sun rises. Can you therefore say that there are no stars in the heavens during the day? Because you can't find God in the days of your ignorance, don't say that there is no God. One cannot have the vision of God as long as one has these three: shame, hatred, and fear. Be not a traitor in your thoughts. Be sincere. Act according to your thoughts, and you shall surely succeed. Pray with a sincere and simple heart, and your prayers will be heard. Do not let worldly thoughts and anxieties disturb your mind. Do everything that is necessary in the proper time, and let your mind be fixed always on God. Lord Krishna also says in the Gita, Sarveshu Kaleshu Mamanusmara. Then he says Yuddhacha. That means all the time you remember me and do your duties. So remembering the God, you must perform the duty. That paves the way for perfection. You should remember the heart of the devotee is the abode of God. It dwells, no doubt, in all beings, but he especially manifests himself in the heart of the devotees. The heart of the devotee is the drawing room of God. Pure knowledge and pure love are one and the same thing. Both lead the aspirants to the same goal. The path of love is much easier. Who is the best devotee of God? It is he who sees after the realization of Brahman that God alone has become all living beings, the universe and the 24 cosmic principles. One must discriminate at first, saying not this, and reach the roof. After that one realizes that the steps are made of the same materials as a roof, namely brick, lime and brick dust. The devotee realizes that it is Brahman alone that has become all these, the living beings, the universe and so on. Live in the world like a waterfowl. The water clings to the bird, but the bird shakes it off. Live in the world like a mud fish. The fish lives in the mud, but skin is always bright and shiny. Sri Ramakrishna tells, I tell you the truth. There is nothing wrong in your being in the world, but you must direct your mind towards God. Otherwise, you will not succeed. Do your duty with one hand and with the other hold on to God. After the duty is over, you will hold to God with both hands. The breeze of His grace is blowing day and night over your head. Unfurl the sails of your boat, that is mind. We want to make rapid progress through the ocean of life. One should constantly repeat the name of God. The name of God is highly effective in this modern age. The practice of yoga is not possible in this age, for the life of a man depends on food. Clap your hands while repeating God's name. His only concern was man's uplift. According to him, there is infinite moral and spiritual potential in everyone. To develop that potential is one's foremost duty in life. He taught the person to strive to develop that potential without wasting time over sense pleasures or religious quibbling. Religions are like so many paths leading to the same goal, that is divine. Man reaches the religious goal when he attains his highest moral development. God is both personal and impersonal. It is difficult to conceive an impersonal God. So to begin with, God has to be thought of as a person. Can anyone think of the white color without thinking of a white object? One can look at the morning sun, but not at the midday sun. Similarly, when God is manifest in a person, we know what God is like. Otherwise, God is impersonal and beyond thought and speech. Be in the world, but not of it. Perform your duties as well as you can, but do not count too much upon the fruits of your action. Rather, surrender them to God. Try to feel as if you are only a tool in the hands of God. Religion is an experience. It makes no sense unless its truths are experienced. Is your thirst satisfied unless you drink water when you are thirsty? God is everywhere, but He is most manifest in man. So serve man as God. That is as good as worshipping God. That's why Swami Vivekananda said, Atmano mokshartham jagadhitaya cha. Serve the humanity and you will realize the truth. Like stars in the daylight, God is invisible. But can you say therefore there are no stars in the sky during the day? So, because you can't find God in the days of your ignorance, don't say there is no God. A man thickly embedded in Maya, he is like a piece of iron thickly embedded in mud. Just like the iron with mud is unmoved by the power of the magnet, so also the man is unaffected by the Lord. When the mud is washed away with water, it frees the iron. Likewise, when Maya is washed away with prayer, the person is automatically attracted to God. To explain God after merely reading the scriptures, he is like explaining a city after seeing it on a map. A meteorological report may forecast heavy rainfall, but you can't squeeze the single drop from the paper on which the report is written. So also, many good sayings are found in holy books, but merely reading them won't make you spiritually wise. An unbaked cake of flour sizzles loudly when put in a heated oil. The more it is fried, the less the noise. When it is fully fried, the noise ceases altogether. Likewise, when a person has a little knowledge, he goes about talking and preaching. A truly wise man doesn't make a vain display of his wisdom. Young bamboo bends easily, while full-grown bamboo breaks when bent with force. Likewise, young minds bend easily towards spiritual thoughts, as their minds has not yet stored up with contamination. A spiritual aspirant may live in the world, but the world should not live in his mind. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example, a boat may stay in water, but water should not stay in the boat. Do all your duties, but keep your mind in God. Directing the mind towards God is most essential. Ceremonies and rituals, they are all useful up to a certain point for the growth of spiritual thoughts. However, they become useless for him who has realized the highest truth, namely God. Just as the oyster shell that contains a precious pearl is in itself of very little value, but is essential for the growth of the pearl. To acquire the power of concentration, a person must begin by fixing the mind on a God with form. Only then can he meditate on the formless aspect of God. Once a mind has been trained to focus on an idol, it is easy for it to focus on the formless. A marksman learns to shoot by first aiming at big objects. As he gets more skilled in shooting, he targets smaller and smaller objects. After 14 years of hard penance, a person acquired the supernatural power to walk on water. When he displayed of it, his brother rebuked him. What you have accomplished in 14 years, ordinary men can do by paying a few pennies to the boatman. There are several bathing ghats on the bank of Ganga. A person goes to whichever ghat he pleases, but it is the same water. There is no point in quarreling over the merits of the various ghats. Every religion of the world is like a ghat. Each has its own plus and minus points. And each leads to the water of the eternal bliss. The one and the same water is called by different names in different languages. So the one Sachidananda existence, consciousness, bliss is invoked by some as Allah, by some as Hari, and by others as Jesus. Sri Ramakrishna gives another example. Two persons were hotly disputing over the color of a chameleon they had seen on a tree. One said, "Oh, it was red." The other one said, "No, it was blue." Unable to resolve the difference, they went to a person who lived under the tree and had watched the chameleon in all its phases. He knew that the chameleon constantly changes color. So he agreed with both of the men. He agreed with both the men, for the chameleon was red as well as blue. Likewise, a devotee who has seen God only in one aspect knows that aspect alone. None but he who has seen him in manifold aspects can say all these forms are of the one God, for God is multiformed. God is both formless and with form, and infinite are his forms. Sri Ramakrishna experienced this through his sadhana, and he also says once he was sitting in meditation He went through all the regions of the creation. And Sri Ramakrishna said that he saw innumerable forms of gods and goddesses. Among them, the form of goddess Rajeshwari was most beautiful. Then Sri Ramakrishna gives most important spiritual instruction: Vivekananda Vairagya, discrimination and dispassion, are the two purifying agents in our life. Put a purifying agent like alum into a vessel of muddy water and see how impurities settle down at the bottom, making the water clear again. Similarly, Viveka and Vairagya, discrimination and dispassion, help our restless senses to settle down and clear our minds of tensions and anxieties. A person who is fond of fishing first gathers detailed information about a pond, the type of fish it contains, and the most suitable bait to catch them. He then goes to the pond with his fishing rod and bait and waits there patiently until he gets an attractive catch. Similarly, a spiritual aspirant should first gain knowledge from scriptures and spiritual masters. He should try to seek God with the bait of faith and devotion, with his mind as a fishing rod. With unceasing patience, he must wait for the fullness of time. Only then will he realize the divine. So, this way Sri Ramakrishna has given many spiritual instructions to be followed. And Sri Ramakrishna has set an ideal for every one of us. Whatever religion we may follow, we can clearly follow the instructions of Sri Ramakrishna and accept him as ideal. Sri Ramakrishna, the great master, is a spiritual teacher of every spiritual seeker. Sri Ramakrishna himself made a statement: whoever has uttered God's name, whoever is seeking spirituality, they all come to me. Sri Ramakrishna is showing grace and blessings to every spiritual aspirant who is practicing spirituality in his life. The Swamiji's, Sri Ramakrishna's emphasis was on practice. That's what the Vedanta also says: Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan. First of all, hearing what are the teachings, and cogitating, keep on repeating those teachings in the mind, trying to understand more and more. Then Nididhyasan, meditation. Finally, the God will be revealed. So, God's revelation depends upon removing the coverings of the mind. The impurities are coverings of the pure mind. Those impurities must be taken out. Then God's glory is revealed and you will be experiencing immense peace and bliss. Thank you very much. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhidamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. May the Divine Lord protect us, may He nourish us. May our knowledge be fruitful and enlightened. May we not hate each other. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.